whole 9 yards though tonight.
It's going to feel pretty cold.
It's winter weather coverage you can count on.
We'll pay your sales tax this weekend on all Mermaid brand sets, but only at Mermaid Mattress.
We have been talking earlier about the fun of heading down to Ice on the Landing and take part in the skillet curling competition going on for the Chattanooga Area Food Bank. Maybe, however, your plans are going to involve going out and looking for a home. If you're in the market for a new home, this is a great time, but you want to act quickly, as I'm sure you have heard. So it's a great time for us to check in with Bruce Dodd at People's Home Equity. Nice to see you.
Hey, it's always good to see you.
You said Fridays at your office are pretty busy. You're planning ahead for next week. For a lot of your soon-to-be customers, the weekends are gold for them, right? They're going out looking at houses the next couple of days.
Yeah, well, you know, people that are buying houses usually have to have jobs, and most of the time they're working during the week.
So
stuff gets done on the weekends.
Well, I remember my husband and I mean, back in the old days when you would go to the little magazine stand, you know, and get the printout pamphlets and thumb through and circle the houses that you liked. And that was a really fun thing for us to do, though, to go easily take our time looking at houses on the weekends. Homeowners right now, I mean, home buyers don't have quite that luxury because it's a very competitive market.
You know, no, it's really one of those that, you know, if it's in a book someplace, it's probably already sold. Properties, you know, under $300,000, you know, sometimes even more than that, that come on the market are often going to be gone, you know, hours, sometimes days, a lot of times it's just hours.
So what do you, I mean, I know that you're not the realtor, but your people are coming to you if they're smart first, right? They've got to get their finances in order.
Well, typically a realtor is going to advise you to do that first, is to get your financial situation straightened out. I mean, even if you're perfect and you've got your credit score's a bazillion and you got a bunch of money to put down, the seller needs some affirmation of that. So it's not so much for some people, hey, making sure I'm good to go, which I think, you know, it's always important to do. Because even if you think your situation's perfect, sometimes there can be some things you're just not aware of that we may need to address. But the seller needs confirmation of that. And so the best way to do that is to be ready to go so that your lender can supply documentation to the agent representing the seller or the listing agent and let them know that, hey, you're a sure thing.
So I had asked you before we began talking on air about interest rates. I thought they were going up, but you said really it's negligible.
Not seeing a lot yet, but you know, you just have to give this some thought. You know, we've got a new administration. I'm not sure it would have really mattered had we had, you know, the prior administration remaining. You know, the government's been spending a lot of money and has plans to spend a lot more to stimulate the economy. It's not like the government takes that money out of a savings account. Because government doesn't really have a savings account. So essentially the government prints money and increases the money supply when the government's spending money. When you're increasing the money supply, you're making the dollars out there that are out there currently worth a little less, which causes inflation. It causes things to cost more relatively. So when inflation happens, interest rates go up. So at some time, and I would think fairly soon, we're going to see interest rates start moving up. Now, how quickly that's going to occur, I don't know. But I would say you know what you know now. So if you're a person with a mortgage and you haven't looked at reducing the term to 10 or 15 years, or if your mortgage has, you know, a good while left on it, you haven't looked at 30 years, you probably need to do that while you know what you know. If you're thinking about buying a house, rates are awesome. It's a great time to at least look. And it may, because of the real estate supply, it may take you longer to find that right house. And so that being the case, I think this is one of those times where if buying a house is something you want to do in 2021, I'd probably start that process earlier than what you maybe had planned otherwise, because it's just it's a difficult market because rates are making things so cheap.
So the process with you, when people begin to knock on your door, and I guess it really begins with a phone call. You're doing an awful lot of your work virtually right now. We've got a couple of minutes left, but you kind of guide them through expertly on what they're going to need to know. Because even if you're not a first-time home buyer, Things might be a little bit different than the last time you bought a house. There's a lot to sign.
This mystery around mortgages and people make it sound very difficult. A lender really needs to know three things, and that's it. They need to know, number one, how much money do you make? And they need to be able to document that. They need to know how much money you owe, and they need to be able to document that. And they need to know how much money do you have, and they need to be able to document that. So on the income side, you need to have a good idea of how much money you make. Need to have access to things like W-2s, which will be getting a new one here very soon, and a couple pay stubs if you get paid every couple weeks. Lenders are going to need 30 days worth of pay stubs, 2 months bank statements, and then they're going to pull your credit. So for us to pull your credit, we just need to get a baseline of information on you. And we have just a really super simple questionnaire that you can fill out, probably 5 minutes, and we can get the information we need and get the process started.
30 seconds left. Closing's happening within 30 days or so, or faster?
Yeah, things are still taking, it's a busy world, but we're still getting things done in 30 days.
All right. Well, it's always good to talk to you. Next time we'll talk something esoteric with you. You always enjoy that, like art from the Renaissance or something.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Good talking to you, Bruce. You can find him at People's Home Equity on East Brainerd Road. Website is chatmortgage.com. Phone number 591-9801.
What do all these families have in common? They took advantage of my Guaranteed Offer program. Yes, they skipped